Good afternoon. I'm John Falchicchio, Deputy Mayor for Planning and Economic Development. And on behalf of Mayor Bowser, welcome to this week's DMPED Weekly Recovery Check-In. We wanted to give you two quick updates before we get into our program and talk to some of our guests. Number one, yesterday Mayor Bowser announced a new reopening on May 21st and June 11th. So what we'll be doing over the course of the next week is updating coronavirus.dc.gov/phase 2, and we'll really collapse a lot of the guidances that you've seen throughout the pandemic. Will really be really brought down to just a few of those guidances, and we're going to emphasize really two things. One, vaccination. We need everybody to get vaccinated. We have walk-up clinics across the District of Columbia, free, no appointment necessary, and you could do it and see where you want to go to get that appointment, or to get that shot without an appointment, at coronavirus.dc.gov/don't wait. The other thing we're going to emphasize in the days and weeks ahead, what we've been emphasizing since really last year, is mask wearing. So the CDC has guidance for when you should wear a mask if you're vaccinated and if you're not vaccinated. What we hope is that over the course of the next few weeks, more and more people get vaccinated and can follow the CDC guidance on what to do, when to wear a mask as you're vaccinated. But for now, we've got it for both. So the CDC has guidance that says if you're vaccinated, you could do these activities and minimize your risk by wearing a mask. And if you're not vaccinated, you could wear a mask in really most of the activities. So check out that chart that we'll make sure that we share. The other thing that we wanted to update you on is a new benefit from the federal government to help families with Wi-Fi service and internet service in their home. So there's a new benefit that the federal government has. I'm just going to look at my notes. If you go to getemergencybroadband.org, so getemergencybroadband.org, you can get up to $50 a month in funding for your internet at home. So make sure you check out that as well. So today we're going to be talking about a couple items that relate to our recovery. And first and foremost, we're on location. So I want to bring into the conversation Iris. Iris, can you tell us where we are and tell us a little bit about your business?
Hi, yes, everyone. My name is Chef Iris Jimenez. I'm the culinary director of La Casita Pupuseria. And we are here at La Cosecha. We are so excited to have everyone here. This is a wonderful contemporary marketplace that celebrates Latin American culture and conversation here in the heart of the Union Market District.
Great. And, you know, I have some experience, too, making pupusas.
Yes, do you?
I've made them before. Although you corrected me earlier, I didn't actually make them, but I know how to flip them.
Wonderful. That's part of it. You have to be able to flip, right? You have to flip them. Yes, you're almost there.
So folks can come down here and they could try a whole array of food. So tell us a little bit more about the market, what it focuses on, and kind of the great entrepreneurs that are here.
Well, yes. It's such an amazing space, honestly. I've had the opportunity not only to be here and represent Salvadoran food, but be able to be here among all these amazing partners that are focused in on doing very unique and special interpretations of their food from different countries, as well as have amazing retail spaces and other specialty items such as chocolate and wine, and really focusing in on that special, unique quality that Latin American has to offer. So I'm really excited to be able to be here and share that hospitality and energy that we provide.
Well, there's something special about this place, but you also had a very special customer last week.
We did.
Who was that? Tell us a little bit about that.
Well, President Joe Biden was here, and it was so exciting, and it was like an energy that went through here. It was amazing to have him here. We had a chance to see him for a little bit. He came and said hi to everyone, other partners here at La Cosecha. And obviously he was here at La Gemelas getting some tacos. So it was very, very cool. So it was a wonderful opportunity to be able to see him.
And he was here to promote a specific program that the federal government is now supporting. Thank you to the American Rescue Plan. And that program is the Restaurant Revitalization Fund. Now, you've applied for it. Tell us your experience applying for it. And we've been encouraging all of our restaurants to do it. Tell us what that was like applying, and what have you heard thus far?
Definitely. It was relatively easy. We have been able to apply to most of the grants and programs that have been offered in DC. And relatively speaking, it was simple in the procedure in comparison to the other programs that we applied to. And we have heard back, and we will be receiving some aid for that. So we're very excited about that. And I think it's been an amazing experience to be able to continually get that kind of help and continually get that information, because we've been getting all the emails and all the information continually from DC. So it's been wonderful to be able to do that.
Absolutely. And so for folks who haven't applied yet, we know that the resource is going to be sounds abundant, but with so many people applying, it's going to be limited. So you probably, when did you apply? Did you apply on the first day? Obviously the first week?
We applied on the first day.
Yeah.
We've been pretty fast about applying quickly, just because, like you said, with funding, you never know when it's going to run out, and it also takes some time for you to hear back. So it's better to just, apply as quickly as possible and get all your information together and just do it, because it is good and it's important for most restaurants that are going through a lot of different things, to be able to survive during this pandemic. So absolutely important for all these restaurants to do.
Absolutely. So we are going to bring in our next guest.
Wonderful.
But before we do, again, I just want to put this offer on the table. I know how to flip a pupusa. I did it with Mayor Bowser in El Salvador. I think we were in San Salvador when it happened.
Wonderful.
So if you ever need somebody to help behind the grill, let me know.
Well, I'm going to have to call you.
Okay, fantastic. Well, thank you so much for
much
joining us, Chef Iris. We'll make sure people come on down and visit, and make sure that people apply for the restaurant revitalization.
Awesome. Hope to see everyone here.
Great. Well, thank you so much. Next up, we're going to have Kathy Hollinger come up and talk with us, also with another guest, Charlotte. And they're going to talk to us a little bit about a new program that Mayor Bowser launched. It is the DC Shop, Eat, Play, Stay giveaway. We all love that name because, well, one, Kathy came up with it, but two, because it's really long, and so we try to make sure we could all get it right. But as you'll see, we're all up here. We're excited to be here. And tell us a little bit about the giveaway, Kathy.
Yeah, the giveaway is great. I mean, it's really designed in partnership with Mayor Bowser and the Deputy Mayor and the Office of Economic Development to encourage spend as we are starting this first phase of recovery. All designed to eat in our restaurants, stay in our hotels, plan those missed opportunities from last year, plan them for the summer, or plan them honestly for whenever you feel comfortable. So the giveaway will go for the next couple weeks. People should be signing up at remw.org/DC Shop Eat Play Stay. Took me about an hour to say it correctly. You can imagine what I substituted the words along the way. But really, this is a tremendous opportunity. Giveaway prizes range from $500 to $25,000, which is the grand prize. There are 5 grand prizes. Every week starting June 1st, there will be a drawing of winners. But what's most important right now is that people are signing up. You need to be a DC resident, Maryland resident, or Virginia resident, and you need to be 21 years of age, and you are entered into a giveaway beyond giveaway, all designed to spend money in locally owned and operated restaurants, venues, hotels, and retail businesses.
Well, we're really excited about it, and we also want businesses to still sign up. So we're using a platform. You want to tell us a little bit about the platform we're using?
Sure.
And how businesses can sign up to participate and have some of this resource spent at some of the prizes spent at their business.
Absolutely. So again, we have about 250 locally owned and operated businesses currently that are a part of the platform. For when a winner is identified, they are working with our office to be able to create the package, no matter how big or small their giveaway is, to spend the dollars the way they want to spend the dollars, as long as it is in Washington, D.C. But we want to make sure that any vendor, any service provider, any business that wants to make sure that they are a part of the options for a winner to consider that spend, that they reach out to us directly. So please go to remw.org. Aishi Patterson is our program director on this giveaway. Her email is Aishi, ISHI, @ramw.org to express your interest as a business to be a part of the giveaway, so that while we're creating these fantastic packages, we are keeping all of those in mind to make sure it's as inclusive as a giveaway as possible.
Fantastic. So 2 ways to participate. Every resident of DC, Maryland, Virginia should sign up to win a prize,
That's
right?
right.
To enter to win one of these prizes in the giveaway. And then if you're a business, you could enter to actually participate so that when those prizes are awarded, that people can spend it at your business.
That's right. And if you are reaching out directly to our organization, we will help facilitate that onboarding, so to speak, to make sure that you are a business that is a part of a giveaway package if you are interested.
Fantastic. So we're going to bring Charlotte into the conversation. Charlotte, thank you for being here. You serve as the Chief Visionary Officer for Reed Rodell. Tell us a little bit about the business, how long you've been doing it, and how you service and help DC residents.
Absolutely. Thank you, John. Good afternoon. So Reed Rodell Events, so we're a DC-based events firm. We do everything from weddings, political fundraisers, nonprofit events, and we do basically A through Z event planning. And we've been fortunate enough to work with everyone from the president to, you know, your grandmother.
Which president?
44.
Okay.
The best. So, but we have been in business. We were two different individual companies that came together 7 years ago. We have 30 years together, collective experience, my business partner and I, and we have used our expertise to just do the gamut of events and be able to be a part of life celebrations throughout the city.
So the pandemic was obviously, or is obviously, really hard on the events business. So how have you navigated it, and what kind of pivots did you make throughout the pandemic?
The P word, John, that's a tough word for us. We really, you know, obviously the pandemic disrupted everything that we knew, everything we were comfortable with. So we learned very quickly, you know, things shut down very quickly. So we canceled 95% of our events within a few weeks. So that was a tough period to go through. But what helped us transition was that we had so many clients that were in tough positions, like nonprofits that were expecting this huge event to carry them forward. So we had to find creative ways to help them continue to raise funds, despite that we were moving into a virtual world that they weren't familiar with, and still find creative ways to connect them with their audiences and fundraise during a very difficult time. So that was our biggest, one of the biggest challenges was losing that business, but the blessing was we were able to help our clients that were in really tough positions find creative ways to move forward.
So Mayor Bowser yesterday announced part of our reopening will happen in sort of 2 steps, May 21st and June 11th. How do you start planning for those 2 dates, and has your phone been ringing since that announcement, and what does that mean to your business?
Absolutely. So that's great news for the events industry, the entertainment world, venues. For us, we ramped down so quickly, or we shut down very quickly. We will be ramping up in a slower fashion, just because not all of the venues will be open that we are partners with. Some of our partners are no longer in business. Some of our retail partners that are rental companies. So things have changed. The landscape is different since the pandemic. And so we are going to just take our time, reestablish those partnerships, and just check in on our relationships and make sure that we're in a good place to ramp up slowly, but in the right way.
Well, and Kathy, I see you're shaking your head when we were talking about ramping up. So what do you think happens kind of in the next few days and over the next few weeks as we talk about May 21st and June 11th?
Yeah, I will say that the key is ramping up, and what we are trying to reinforce, first, I have to back up and say we are delighted, and this is really the best news, barring everything that goes into the considerations of reopening. I mean, the restaurant industry has been hit hard, and they are very much hopeful that they can plan a little bit now to think about how they are reopening in a way that works for their business. Everybody has to think about what has been put in place currently, what they may keep in place, how they may rehire, re-engage a workforce. So there is a lot to consider, but what I want people to know is that they can do it at their own pace without the restrictions, but knowing that right now they can plan in a way that makes sense for them for the summer, for the fall, and as we are delighted that we are reopened, we want to stay open. We want people to be kind to each other, safe, and play their part to make sure that we can stay reopened going forward.
Oh, and I talked about it when we opened. We really need people to focus on getting vaccinated. So making sure your team members, and I know sometimes there's a bit of reluctance or even just, lack of understanding of where to go to get it. So those conversations about vaccination are going to be so important. And then mask wearing. So we're all outside right now. We're vaccinated, so we're not wearing a mask. But we do still need to wear masks. It's still going to be part of our effort. So vaccine and masks are the two items. How do you kind of keep that as part of events? And how do you have that conversation, Charlotte? How do you use your events to have those conversations?
Well, we really don't have an option because there's so many different levels of people's comfort.
Yeah.
So some folks are ready to just, be out at the beach with 1 million people or be out at sporting events, which is wonderful. So it's really about your comfort level. What we've seen across the board is everyone is now saying, we ask them, what's your COVID safety plan? We know we're in the middle of this, we're transitioning, we see light at the end of the tunnel, but how can we still make your guests feel comfortable and be able to celebrate in style, but be very safe with those particular things in place. So mask wearing is really what we're asking for. People are sending in their copies of their vaccination for private dinners. The staff has to be vaccinated. The chef, anyone that's touching the food or touching anything coming to set up, we're asking either they come in early if they're not, and they wear their mask, and we just have protocols in place that we are not, that we're really strict about because we just don't want to be the example. We want to set a great example on being on the other side of this and celebrating milestones.
So we talked a little bit about the pivots that everybody had to make. So we all have those stories to share. But you've probably thought of some fun ways to actually help promote your clients, help with the fundraising. What are some of those activities or tactics that will stay in place even past the pandemic?
I think without a doubt the virtual element, because we were able to use the virtual element, Zoom and the other platforms, to be able to reach a much wider audience. So while we were all we felt very disconnected in the first few months of this, Zoom connected us in ways we could have never imagined. So we were able to hire a DJ from California. We were able to get a chef from Miami. You can't get all those elements in place usually in a virtual event without flying people in. I mean, an in-person event. So the blessing was we were able to bring in unique personalities and really layer events in a unique way on a virtual platform that we can't do in person. So that's been one of the fun things, is bringing in a surprise or, having a birthday party or something with a surprise element, because all we did was add them to a Zoom call. So that was a lot of fun.
Yeah, so we're actually thinking about it as we think about sort of those incentives to get folks vaccinated, that kind of different experience. Tomorrow we're going to be out at Audi Field from 4 to 8 p.m. Folks can actually take their vaccine on the field. So you'll literally take the shot. It'll be J&J, so one and done shot on the field. And then you'll be able to actually go onto the pitch. I'm sorry, I'm saying field. The word is pitch, I'm told. Go onto the pitch and actually take a shot on goal.
Wow.
So it's a fun experience, and it's a memorable one as you get your vaccine. So that's tomorrow, 4 to 8 p.m. So we need the industry's help, though. How do we think of those creative ideas? We also have bit.ly/TakeTheShotDC, which is where businesses can step forward and say, we want to donate this good or service to people who are getting vaccinated. Any kind of ideas that you've heard, Kathy, from your team? And
So we hear from a lot of our restaurateurs and chefs who are doing incentives similarly. You come into our restaurant, if you've been vaccinated, show us that you've been vaccinated, we'll give you an appetizer, we'll give you a drink, we'll just encouraging not only rewarding those who are doing it, but encouraging others to get it done. So I think we're going to see a lot of creativity in the next month in particular. We got to keep driving people to get vaccinated. So we fully plan on engaging the industry to do that.
Yep. Charlotte, what do you think?
I think that the sky's the limit. I think there's so many opportunities to be creative. You could have a movie night and, give away free popcorn or have a partner with one of our local beer companies. Like DC has so much to offer, and we have some of the most unique backdrops to be able to go down on the mall and have access to that, and to be able to incorporate the health, getting DC and the world back to normal or back to a new normal. I think there's just tremendous opportunities just using our great backdrops, like the museums, all of our national parks, but there's lots we can do. But free always works. You know, I know last week for Cinco de Mayo they did the event at Kennedy Center Reach, and the line was around the block, and I'm like, are these people that excited about the beer or the shot? And you never know. So you continue to offer fun stuff for different audiences, and I think you can capture a wider group of people.
So I got teased because that morning, I did a hit on Fox 5, and I said that maybe it'll be a great afternoon at the Kennedy Center to bring a date. And everybody laughed at me. They teased me. They said, who's going to bring a date to get a shot? But we actually met a couple. The husband worked down the street, asked his partner to come on down, and they got the shot together at the Kennedy Center. So, Charlotte, to your point, people want that unique experience, and the beer helped maybe, but also just doing it in a unique, fun place. So I'm going to just kind of ask both of you, either one of you jump in, but what are you most hopeful about? Mayor Bowser talks about DC Hope all the time. For us, it stands for health, opportunity, prosperity, and equity. But what are you most hopeful about as we think about sort of reopen and what comes next?
You want me to go?
You absolutely.
So I would say I'm most hopeful for how resilient we have already been, and knowing that this industry is in a position to be able to succeed going forward. They're resetting a lot of how they do business, why they do business. A lot of the lessons learned over the last year are being translated and will continue, really, I would say, for the next 10 years in terms of consumer behavior. And it is all going to be rooted in offering new lines of revenue for these very small businesses in DC. I'm also really hopeful that we've created so much unity as a city, and I think that is only going to continue going forward.
And I would say, John, I think of that acronym, we have so many acronyms in this city, but, I really love the equity piece, because through this, we've dealt with a lot of things this last year with the racial strife and just everything that's happened. And I've seen just some beautiful equity or examples of equity with businesses getting exposure, people really rising up and supporting entrepreneurs in an amazing way. So for me, that gives me a great amount of hope, because small businesses are really the engine for every community. So to see that, and to see that love given to businesses like a place like here at La Conseca, I think is just really, really, really something that's crystallized beautifully through this pandemic.
All right, and I've got a question for both of you. Kathy, I'll go to you first, and then Charlotte. It's going to be your last shot, so I want you to hit it out of the ballpark like you've been doing this whole time, because there are going to be a lot of job opportunities in the industry. What's your advice to somebody who's maybe thinking about, maybe this is an industry I want to get into? What would be your advice, especially now when there's going to be a lot of businesses hiring? So maybe Kathy and then Charlotte.
Yeah, this is an industry that hires, pre-pandemic 65,000 people just in the district. And we know that we want to get back to that level in terms of workforce. What I know and what I've seen is that this is an industry that offers so much opportunity. You can come in on the ground and you can leave as an owner. And that is the story that I want those who are interested in re-engaging the workforce to know about this local industry. Is the opportunity is there, they're resetting in really creative ways, and there are roles that people can play if they're interested in being part of a great workforce.
Great. And Charlotte?
And I would say, John, I go back to the entrepreneur piece, because I think this quiet time for many gave people an idea to really explore their passions. And I've seen lots of different small businesses pop up, people calling with questions about how to do things. So for me, I'm excited about these small businesses, again, that are coming to life. And either, as an entrepreneur, you have to have a thick skin and be able to go through something. But if you've come through this time and decided that's what you want to do, I think that's a tremendous opportunity to be able to work for yourself and to create, the life that you imagine.
Well, Charlotte, before I bring in Virginia and Andre, how do people find you? How do people find you and work with you as they think about their events for this summer and beyond?
Absolutely. Thank you, John. You can reach me at Charlotte at Reed Rodell, or all of our social media platforms are at Reed Rodell, and that's ReidRodell. We're everywhere.
Fantastic. Charlotte, thank you for joining us. I'm going to keep Kathy behind as we talk a little bit more about the Shop, Eat, Play, Stay. I got it right. Thank you.
Right.
As we talk more about that and how that's going to help our businesses. So, Kathy, I want to ask you too, while we bring in the other guests, have other places tried these efforts? And also, what we were talking about before we started was, how does this live on beyond the giveaway?
Yeah. So I will say that nowhere that I have seen has done a program or launched a program as robust as Washington, D.C. with this giveaway. But that also candidly translates beyond this giveaway in terms of relief that the city has offered to our industry. We have seen other states, other cities do giveaways that are rooted in a very specific experience. But the beauty of the tenets of this program is that, again, it's designed to encourage spend right here in Washington, D.C. And while you may not live in D.C., it's keeping the dollars in D.C. and helping our small businesses, whether they're retail, restaurants, vendors, services, venues, really being able to support them with dollars that were lost and they can hopefully recoup over the next year or two, or whenever they feel comfortable planning and creating that experience. It's going to live beyond the giveaway because our partner, we have a great partner with GiftRocker on the vendor side, where already we have 100-some restaurants, locally owned restaurants. I know that we've got one of those participants right here, but also on the retail side, we have over 125, 30 locally owned and operated retail businesses that are yoga studios, they are theaters, they are different businesses, retail, I don't know why it's escaping me, but we have enough that people have the option. But we want to encourage more of that so that this can live beyond a giveaway and be more a part of a platform that's encouraging local spend.
But even Charlotte's line of business too, photographers, AV folks, they can all be part of this program as well.
And they should be reaching out to us. I was going to say that to Charlotte while she's up here with us, that she should be registering to make sure that she is a company here, DC-based, that is being considered as people want to spend to do their venues, to do their events, or do their anniversaries or special occasions.
Absolutely. So let's bring in Virginia and Andre. Thank you both for being here. Virginia, why don't you kick us off? Tell us a little bit about your business and your journey through the pandemic.
So I own a gift shop that's called Steadfast Supply. We have 2 locations, one at the Yards in Washington, D.C., and another one in Boston Quarter in Arlington, Virginia. Our gift shop, the whole concept revolves around like supporting small businesses. We provide a really cool retail platform for new and established brands to come in, share their stories through their products, share obviously their products with our customers. So we sell a little bit of everything from, pet accessories to candles, jewelry, clothing, stationery, even plants now because everyone's asking for plants. During the pandemic, we had to pivot a lot. The shutdown was very frightful. It's very scary, exhausting, stressful. But I think with any entrepreneur out there, you really have to know how to pivot. During the shutdown, you had to pivot a lot. Yeah. And so we were able to, develop an online shop within a few days, within like 3 days. We were able to make sure we stay connected with our customers on our social media platforms. And all of that really led us to get through all the challenges.
And Andre, you've had to make a few pivots of your own, and you've got a couple different lines of businesses that help other businesses as well, just like Virginia.
Yeah, absolutely. Thanks a lot, John. Happy to be here. I'm the owner of Half Smoke Restaurant. We opened in 2016 in the Shaw neighborhood. We're on the corner of Florida and Georgia Avenue. We're casual dining American restaurant called Half Smoke. And we're really happy that we're turning the corner, turning the page on the pandemic. We've learned a lot from the pandemic. I think we'll be able to come out of this stronger. We'll be able to come out of this better as an industry, as a city, and as a country. I think having the accessibility to pivot, such as the streeteries or access to additional outdoor seating, has allowed for additional flexibility, not only during the pandemic, but also hopefully after the pandemic, as we look for better ways and smarter ways to continue to reinforce what we have learned during the pandemic. We also fortunately saw a big uptick in digital sales during the pandemic as well, which allowed us to some degree pivot to online ordering, gift cards and things of that nature like Gift Rocker. And fortunately for us, sort of born out of the pandemic was now our sister restaurant that we're happy to be opening soon in the 14th Street corridor, Butter Me Up. And so all in all, it's been a tough time, but we're very excited about the future.
And you also looked north, and you opened up in Baltimore, right? Tell us about that. And you opened in the midst of the pandemic. What was that process like, and expanding to another city as well?
Yeah, it was a little daunting and certainly more challenging to be in Baltimore and to have to deal with the distances there and also to navigate the different regulations and rules across cities, which is something that takes time to get used to. But restaurants have been met across, I think, not only DC, but across the country with a lot of support, and people really want to see the local businesses survive. Even if you're a local transplant, they like to support small businesses. And so there's been a really good growth environment, I think, not only during the pandemic, but also subsequent to the pandemic, as more people want to get out and really get back to life as we knew it before, but also in a better way as well.
And so for you, you've heard of Gift Rocker because you use it as well. So how did that come to be, and how have you sort of incorporated like gift cards into the business?
Yeah, so during the pandemic especially, we were looking for contactless ways to connect with our customers, and always we're looking for ways to make it easier for us to reach a new audience base. Gift Rocker does a really good job of marketing the business to an audience that you wouldn't have, perhaps because they are from a different category or different industry, and that Gift Rocker spends money in terms of marketing that you don't have to spend. But they also make the process of redeeming the gift card, purchasing the gift card, activating the gift card very simple and seamless. And the more seamless that you can use technology, the better it is for your business. So we have really enjoyed working with Gift Rocker, and we look forward to more partnerships like that in the future.
So Virginia, you mentioned that folks had to think about how they operated in the pandemic, and going online is something that all of us had to think about doing. So how did you kind of advise folks who wanted to sell in the store what they should do and how they should kind of navigate the digital world?
How to navigate, like, for our brands.
Yeah, for the different brands, yeah.
So we're essentially a gift store. So they provide us the products, and then we go ahead and sell it into the stores. I think a lot of the brands already had an online shop already developed. And so for us, it was very much like if anyone needed advice or any suggestions, we were there to go ahead and help them out. For ourselves, like we had an online site, but we didn't necessarily have an online shop. And so even though the pandemic was really stressful, it really pushed us to like get that shop up and going. So that's one of the blessings, I guess, from the pandemic.
Yeah. And that'll live on after? Is that something that
Absolutely, yes.
And is it, kind of how did you judge how much you should put into it? And, what do you think will be your split kind of going forward?
Well, the thing is that a brick and mortar is great because customers can go into the store, touch and feel the product, see it firsthand. But with the shutdown, that didn't exist. So the online shop gives them the opportunity, again, to see the product. But what's great about an online shop is that you're not just reaching the immediate person that's coming into your store, but you're reaching a wider audience. So we always knew that we had to do an online shop. And so I invested the time to go ahead and create it. And we're going to continue doing it because obviously you can reach people within the DMV area, but also, as far as California or New York, et cetera. So it's definitely very important.
Yeah. So, Andre, you talked about outdoor space, and you've expanded beyond just a streetery, take over an outdoor space. Talk to us about that, and how has that worked out for you, and how do you sort of see that playing into kind of the new normal as well?
Yeah, absolutely. We're fortunately to be located across the street from the Howard Theater, and in front of the Howard Theater, there happens to be a vacant lot that, were it not for the expansion of restaurants being able to use outdoor seating, that lot would generally have been unoccupied. So we've been able to use that lot throughout the wintertime via creative uses like igloos and the like, but also, so now we have outdoor seating that is socially distanced, and we've been able to service more guests in a very safe way. We've been able to activate the neighborhood in a way that it hasn't been before. But more importantly, we're being able to keep people working throughout the pandemic. And I think that's certainly a big part of what we need to kind of focus on now is how do we get people back to work? How do we get people gainfully employed? How do we reinvigorate all aspects of the economy? And I think creative uses like the outdoor streeteries and even more things that we can continue to do. So I think it's important that we don't stop thinking about what are more ways that we can do more with what we already have, because that's something that we would have never perhaps even considered prior to the pandemic.
Yeah. And Mayor Bowser has a bill. It's the Reopen Washington, D.C. Alcohol Amendment Act. And the council had a hearing yesterday. Kathy, what does that bill mean to you? And Andre, if you want to jump in on that too.
I mean, the bill is incredibly innovative and creative, and I commend the city for thinking outside the box on what really needs to stay in place permanently as it relates to streeteries and utilizing outdoor space, but also these lifestyle licenses where, I mean, it really changes the culture of the entire city in terms of how people are experiencing food, drink, shopping, everything. We testified at that hearing. We had operators who did as well, and we are just delighted that there is that kind of forward thinking to think about what the industry is going to be for the next 10 to 15 years. And that's part of the lessons learned from the last year is what could this mean for us as it relates to outdoor space, but also the lifestyle changes that are tied to consumer behavior, which have permanently changed, and this accommodates that.
Yeah, and Andre, two items that I'd highlight from that bill, one being off-premises sales, and then also streeteries, so outdoor space. You talked a little bit about outdoor space, off-premises sales. How is that factored into your business, and how does that help you?
Off-premise sales have certainly helped as well. I think in any crisis, you're sort of forced to think about things or do things which you wouldn't have perhaps, again, considered before. And I think it's another example of how we can learn from even our friends across the pond. They've had off-premise drinking for quite some time in Europe and throughout the world. And so bringing it to D.C., I think, again, it allows us to activate our streets. It allows us to activate our communities. It's very easy to sort of initially look at what are the downsides on the face of it in terms of, let's say, off-premise drinking. But as we've seen, when people you give them the opportunity to be responsible. Fortunately, we live in a city where people generally will do that. And I think the benefits of having more flexibility certainly outweigh the concerns, and we've learned from that. So I think the quick learning that we've been able to experience over the past year will certainly be useful going forward.
Yeah, so Virginia Mayor Bowser has talked about reopening in two steps, May 21st, June 11th. How do you sort of think about those dates? What do they mean to you? And we talked a little bit earlier about people thinking about going back to work or thinking about a new job. What's your advice to folks on that as well?
I think a lot of businesses are excited to fully reopen. I think that for those who are wanting to go back to work, I mean, honestly, it just depends on how comfortable you are. Luckily, at the yards, like our store is about 3,000 square foot, so it's quite large. Yeah. So even during the restrictions of having, I think it was 25% capacity, we're allowed to have at least 25 or 15 people in the store. Mm-hmm. So for those who are interested in shopping, I mean, we definitely welcome them down to the yards because our store is quite large, and you do have space, and we do have, sanitizers throughout the space. You have to wear a mask. But for those who are not comfortable, we do offer curbside pickup. So if they want to shop online, they can still do that, and we'll still offer the curbside pickup.
And do you think that's here to stay? Do you think that's something that goes beyond, like, there hopefully will be a time where we don't have to wear the masks and things like that? Do you think that stays, and do people still want that option?
The wearing the mask?
Oh, no, I'm sorry. The pickup. The different.
The curbside pickup?
Yeah.
I think some people will actually like it. It's a convenience. You know, it's, hey, I don't want to, street parking can be a pain sometimes. So to have the option to shop online or to call in and phone in your order and be like, hey, I'm going to be there in 20 minutes, or can I pick it up, tomorrow morning, and being like, yeah, we have it. Just give us a call when you're outside. I think people love that extra customer service.
Yep. I went to Blue Jacket last night. Parking was a little tough. But I did notice when we ordered, there was ordering online. It was you paid your bill online. So Andre, what are those improvements? Are those improvements? And are customers going to want to keep those when we come back from this? Or
yeah, I think so. In fact, we're most likely going to have a fully contactless operating model in place for Buttermilk when we open. I think that's another aspect of the pandemic that could be beneficial. The option to engage with the human or the option not to is certainly beneficial depending on the time. And I think curbside will be certainly useful. And this is an example of how we can all work together on figuring out what do we want to keep and what do we need to change, and how do we work across the private sector, the public sector, post-pandemic to implement the best versions of what we've learned over the past year and a half, so that we can actually use this to reemerge as a city in a much better way than we started a year and a half ago.
Yeah, I will say it was unique at Blue Jacket. I hadn't seen this at any other restaurant. You actually tapped to get more water in your water glass, which I thought was convenient.
Yeah, isn't that much better than looking around trying to find a waiter and no one comes, basically?
So, Kathy, what do you think about sort of the different items that are new, and will they stay?
Yeah, I think that, again, we have so much that becomes the convenience factor, and it's just an added option to meet diners where they are now or a year from now. It's the idea that, yes, if it's a crazy night, but you really want to go to grab sushi, you can do curbside pickup. If you want to be outside and eat outside, you have all these allowances now that are going to really be a part of how we change as a city and make us a really forward-thinking city. The online and technology piece, technology has been a lifesaver during COVID. There's no doubt about it. But we don't want necessarily that to take the place of human capacity or offerings, but the idea that it's an additional option for people to shop and to be able to pick up what they just shopped for curbside. It's this on-demand culture that I think is here to stay, and I hope it's here to stay.
Great. Andre, for people who are interested in coming back to work, what's your advice for as they think about kind of all the different places they could work? Because I think we'll see a lot of hiring in the next few weeks. What do you say to folks who want to do that? How do they navigate it?
Yeah, I would say the good thing about our city is, in a lot of ways, we've continued to grow during the pandemic. And we're here in Noma, and it's like a different world. So there's a lot of businesses opening. There's a lot of opportunities. You can start at the ground level, but the ability to rise very quickly, because businesses need people throughout all the ranks, is a unique opportunity that I think is a compelling reason to try to get back to work as quickly as possible and take advantage of the window to become a manager in 6 months, where you might have taken 2 years before, or to grow even further than that. And so I think you really want to not hesitate and get back out there. I think businesses understand how to keep their employees safe. It's been a top priority throughout the pandemic. And now it's time to really re-engage and really learn those skills and grow, and be a part of what I think is going to be a very special time for our city.
Yep. And we know that office workers, we've talked a lot about, needing office workers to come back in a safe way in order to really get our shops and our restaurants supported. So for Virginia, how does having more people come to the office, how do you kind of see that split in terms of your residents who live around you that support the shop versus folks in offices. What pickup do you sort of anticipate as people come back to the office? How does that help support your business?
I think because what's great about the yards, and I'll specifically talk about the yards, is that it's obviously there's a lot of residents in the area, but there's also a lot of office buildings. And I think that when people are going back to work, that they're going to be during their lunch breaks or after work, they're going to be able to like walk and stop by the shop. So we're looking forward to that. That's something that we missed pre-pandemic because we used to get the lunch rush. You know, people are out getting lunch and then they stop by the store to pick up like a card or a gift. So we're definitely looking forward to that.
Yeah. So, Kathy, we're closing out now. What's your best advice for folks in terms of as they think about May 21st? What should they be thinking about, and also kind of that ramp up, because I know there's going to be a lot of different steps that people have to take. What's your best advice as they think about it this week?
Yeah, I think it's, think gradual and think intentionally. We know that currently that you're at 25% indoor dining if you were a restaurant. You know, I do imagine that people are going to want to revamp in a way where it's 50%, and they may create their own timeline of how they are opening up as a business. I also think that there is going to be a lot more in terms of engaging their vendors, engaging employees that may have been with them that they want to have them hired back. And this is the time to do it. This is the time to start re-engaging all business components of reopening, particularly for those who were not necessarily able to be open at 25% indoor dining. They are really reopening almost for the first time in 7 months. So it's going to be a gradual process. People should not feel panicked, rushed. This is a part of what we knew was going to come with reopening. But it's delightful news, and everybody should use it as delightful news to be able to think about what their plan is for the summer on the hiring front and the business front.
And also, it's a good opportunity to use this time to apply for the Restaurant Revitalization Fund if you haven't yet. I see Andre shaking his head. Have you?
Yeah, Biden didn't come drop us off a check, but we're in Shaw if he wants to come.
And so you applied. What was the process like? And
The process was smooth, actually. It's about 20 minutes to do the application if you have all your stuff together. We're still waiting to hear back the decision. But in terms of the process, they did a really good job, I think, of working with the restaurant industry to create an application that makes sense relative to what's available and relative to what needs to be shared to really verify the information. So.
Well, Andre, Virginia, Kathy, thank you for being with us. We're going to close it out for today. And really just want to emphasize again, as we look forward to May 21st and June 11th, we're really going to emphasize two things. Mask wearing, check out the CDC guidance on that, and also vaccination. So if you've got people who are interested in being vaccinated, go to coronavirus.dc.gov/don't wait, and that'll show you where you can get vaccinated right now at 12 sites across the district. So thank you for joining us today. We'll be back next Tuesday, talk to you more about the reopen and how we're navigating it. Thanks for joining us, and stay safe.